Hi folks, my name is Florian from iProcess and today we are talking about in-the-loop systems. This is a beginner's video, but of course all cross movers and refreshers should stick around as well. To get started, there are several in-the-loop systems out there. Model in the loop or MIL, software in the loop or XiL, processor in the loop aka PIL, hardware in the loop short HIL, vehicle in the loop known as VIL, and driver in the loop or DIL. Before going into the different types in a little more detail and explaining what value they add to your product development and test efforts, let's look at what they have in common. First of all, and obviously, they all share the letters I and L. That's why we usually refer to them as XiL when we talk about more than one or even all of them at once. Next, they are all associated with some sort of testing activities. That does not urgently have to be release testing or validation. XiLs also come in handy during development testing such as bring up or smoke testing, as well as exploratory testing because of the flexibility and easy modification options. Third, all XiLs are utilizing some kind of automation. That can be fairly little, just some simulated temperature info for example, to very complex system dynamics and environmental simulations. The test execution itself is usually targeted to run in an automated way, but that does not mean that XiLs can only be utilized or controlled with automation. Okay, let's check them out one by one. Model in the loop is performed in the development on the model level, as the name suggests. The system environment and the software itself is existing in a model only, and the system and the environment is usually simplified on this level. Software in the loop testing is performed on a generated code and therefore a step after the model in the loop. Software in the loop is still executed in a completely simulated system and usually runs in a PC-like environment. By the way, unit tests are not considered XiL tests because they test the code in isolation and not in a simulated system. Processor in the loop testing is the first level with actual hardware involved. But instead of using the entire system, only the processor is utilized, whereas the rest of the hardware such as sensor inputs, voltage readings and so on is simulated. PIL testing can be performed on so-called breadboards or test boards, but it can also get more complex. Hardware in the loop. Here we usually see a big step up in size and cost for test systems. Hardware in the loop systems can be the size of a shoebox, but many of them are more the size of a closet and some even up to the size of a house. Of course, always depending on the system under test. It is also worth mentioning that HIL systems can be designed to test a component as well as a system of components. Vehicle in the loop testing involves the entire car. This is a test setup usually used for topics such as dyno testing, full vehicle integration testing for low and high voltage networks, and communication protocols such as CAN or Ethernet. The vehicle is typically instrumented for measurement of communications and signals, and in many cases the setup allows for modifications of those for the purpose of simulation or fault injection testing. Driver in the loop puts an actual driver, a human being, into the test setup. This is a little different than the aforementioned test systems where automation is the execution of the tests. Here you have vehicle dynamics, environmental simulation, but the driver creates the manual test inputs. Okay, this is the family of XiLs. This list is not exhaustive. There might be one or another in the loop concept out there or in other industries, but for the automotive world it's a good start.